Hey there, Scotch whiskey appreciators. Luke here. Got another Scotch whiskey review for you today. It's a blended Scotch whiskey, and it's Johnnie Walker Gold Label. So, Johnnie Walker Gold Label. This one actually has an age statement. I've heard that they are sometimes bottled without age statements. It says 18 years on the bottle, so all of the Scotch whiskey in here has been aged 18 years, at least. And it's bottled at 40% alcohol. And let's see, so Johnnie Walker, the Johnnie Walker label line, color-wise, they've got red, or red, the lowest priced one, red, black, double black, gold, then platinum, if I'm correct, which is, I think, relatively new, and finally blue at the top, the ultra-fine, high-priced one. Price-wise, for me, this is about half the price of blue, to give you an idea. Anyways, let's get into it here. So nose, very lightweight. There's a light pepper note, but what I mostly get here is a very creamy, rich vanilla nose. It's not like black or double black where you get a little bit of peat, a little bit of smokiness. This is all just bourbon matured whiskey. Or at least that's what it smells like. Now, it doesn't really need any water, but I have to add a few drops because that's my style. And you actually will get a little bit more out of it with some water. I get a very light seaweed note and just a hint of straw, like hay, but straw. Yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on. It's just, like I said, rich, creamy vanilla is the key thing going on. Taste. Very lightweight, like the nose. A little drier than I expected from smelling the nose. Not as sweet as I expected. Again, that rich, very clean vanilla note. It's a very clean whiskey overall, nose and taste. Grain alcohol wise, so this is a Scotch whiskey, so it's got grain alcohol mixed, or sorry, it's a blended Scotch whiskey, so it's got grain alcohol mixed in. Normally blended Scotch whiskey has a very corn syrupy kind of smell to it. Very like simple sugar sweetness. But sweetness of this, on the nose is more like a mix of white sugar and caramel with just a hint of corn syrup. And taste-wise, it's kind of a similar thing. Not a whole lot of that corn syrup that I would expect. So they seem to be using a pretty well, properly aged grain alcohol in here. Then on the taste, again, with time, I'm not getting it here. It takes even more time than I'm giving it. You get a rum note. Molasses. I'm getting it just a bit there in the finish, actually. Which is interesting. On the finish, otherwise, woody, slightly woody, and then a dry, very slightly bitter vanilla note. But otherwise, quite pleasing, honestly. Very drinkable whiskey. My rating for this is 83 out of 100. For a blended Scotch, it's tasty, but it doesn't have a whole lot of depth. Sort of, it feels like it's meant for mixing in cocktails without to add a Scotch note, but without bringing in any kind of negative characteristics, is really what it seems like. It's a blended Scotch whiskey that seems to be kind of weakened down, for lack of a better way of saying it, weakened down to a point where there's no negative things, but it's still very drinkable, and there's quite a bit of tasty vanilla stuff going on. Tasty bourbon maturation. So good in its own right, just not a whole lot of depth to it, really. So it gets an 83 out of 100. Fair enough. Tasty, but not a whole lot going on. And I'll leave it at that without rambling. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.